Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. It's so easy for us, especially if we are people who went through trauma or dysfunction or in some way got dysregulated. Our nervous systems got dysregulated when we were kids. We went through some sort of trauma, especially before the age of 8 or 10. According to different research, it's a different number. Our limbic systems, that mammal part of our brain, can really be hyper vigilant, and we can become, if we weren't already wired to be hyper vigilant, we can learn to become hyper vigilant because our brains get trapped in this cycle of reactivity. And I know, speaking for myself, that I am a naturally strong reactive person. And that's due to a lot of stuff, like a lot of emotional stuff that happened to me and around me and my home environment growing up, right? So I had to be on high alert all the time to take care of myself, to make sure that, emotionally I was safe, that emotionally other people were safe in the house. And what happened over time was that I became a very aware person. And in some ways, that has served me very well, right? Like it served me well to be, I was very organized in school, for example. I was very safety conscious. I never went into dangerous situations, unaware, right? It really served me in some ways. But as a mom, that kind of hypervigilance got re-triggered and was not serving me, especially when I had young kids. And so the littlest thing that would happen to them, I'm not talking about if there was a real danger, if there was a real danger of them running, into the street or into a parking lot, like that's a time to be hyper vigilant and be like, hey, no, like yelling, right, to get them over, getting their attention. But the littlest thing that I could imagine going wrong, catastrophic thinking, right, is like a hallmark of somebody who grew up in a home like mine. And I would imagine the worst thing playing out, and it would trigger this real reaction, this like really anxious, scared, fight flight reaction on my part. And usually for me, it was fight because as a mom in mom mode, I would go to fight and I'd be like, get over here, that's too dangerous, or that's, that could hurt you, or whatever. And I have had to learn and I have to continue to learn and work on this hypervigilance that comes to me very naturally. It's how I learned to be hardwired, right? Based on the stuff that I was talking about, so that I don't see everything as an emergency. I'm so wired to see everything as an emergency and a potential catastrophe that it makes me super reactive and I overreact to situations that don't require such a big reaction. So if you find yourself struggling with that, like feeling like this is an emergency, this is, oh my gosh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and your head starts spinning and you're up at night thinking about it, one of the best things that you can do is just tell yourself, this is not an emergency. It's important and I'm handling it. And you see how my hand is all over my heart. I'm settling myself down. I'm safe. I'm safe. My kids are safe. Look around. Okay, we are actually safe. There's no imminent danger because your head is making up all kinds of stories around danger, right? And this is something that leads to yelling a lot in parents is that they feel so um, triggered by their own hypervigilance and their own brain making up catastrophic tales and hooking into catastrophic stories that may or may not have happened in the past, catastrophic possibilities, that we yell as if our kids are always running into the street because that's what our body is doing to react, right? Everything's an emergency. Oh my gosh. Most things are not an emergency. Most things are not. And so it's important to be able to survey the situation very quickly. And we do this, whether you think you're doing it or not, you are doing it all the time as a parent. survey the situation quickly, and I want you to start practicing, is there imminent danger? If your kid, I mean, listen, my kids have been in imminent danger, and it has helped me to not yell at them because that would startle them. And in one case in particular, I'm thinking of my kid. We had a two-story house, and my child was climbing up the outside of the banister, so on the very edge of the stairs holding on. And I saw him, and he was two floors up, and it would be a hard, potentially fatal drop to the tiles below. And I was like, if I yell, I'm going to startle him and he could potentially let go of the banister and fall. So I could inadvertently cause the very thing that I was so afraid of happening. So I saw him, hearts pounding, and I was like, okay, there is imminent danger here. I'm safe at the moment. I'm going to get over there. And I kept my voice really calm and I said, hey, time to, it's time to, I see you got up there. And as I got over there, I grabbed his wrist really hard and to make sure I was not going to lose the hold of him, not because I was angry, and you know, held him onto him as he went down and the outside because I couldn't lift him up and over. And um and then we sat down and I said very sternly, you may not do that. I also knew that if I was going to yell at him in that moment, he wasn't going to hear the lesson. And so I had to speak sternly while staying open enough, keeping him open enough so he would actually learn the lesson. So that was one example of there actually was imminent danger. And I surveyed the situation and I knew that I didn't want to startle him. When you survey the situation and there's imminent danger and you want them to stop, that's probably your best bet is to yell at them because they will likely freeze. If you yell their name really loud and angry, they'll likely freeze. So if they're running somewhere and you yell, hopefully they will stop. It's possible they won't. But if you survey the situation and there's not imminent physical danger, then I implore you, I encourage you, I challenge you, whatever gets you fired up, to say to yourself, this is not an emergency. When your child is losing it and they're yelling at you and they're throwing a fit over, a lost toy, a broken toy, or not getting the toy that they want, or whatever they're throwing a fit over, and nobody is in physical danger, I encourage you to say to yourself, nobody's in danger here. This is not my emergency. It might be my child's emergency. I want to stay empathetic to the fact that my child feels like this is an emergency. We don't want to say, this is an emergency. What's your problem? Like, get over it, right? That's not empathetic parenting at all. So we want to be soft and kind, but also at the same time surveying the situation for actual danger versus imagined or perceived danger that we may feel having grown up in a home where we had to be on alert for one kind of emergency or another. So for those of us, I raise my hand, who are easily triggered, that's a big reason why. And it's a way that I have found to help myself be less triggered and less reactive is to remind myself, survey, I'm safe. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood, so let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.